What's up, YouTube? This is Plant-Based Booch, the nerd or geek, whichever you prefer, who likes eating plants just as much as he likes smoking them. I haven't really been smoking plants for the past week until today, and very little bit. I've been eating plants because I got my wisdom teeth removed, and my wife has also had COVID for the past week. So there's been a little bit of a delay in videos, but there has not been a delay in me watching Off Kilter Christmas stuff. I still wanted to bring you 2 Christmas movie reviews for this holiday season. I've been sleeping on this movie for a very long time. I mentioned in another video where I talk about why I believe Corey Cunningham is the superior shape to Michael Myers, give that a watch by the way, that I'm actually a really big Halloween fan. But Halloween doesn't happen without this movie today. And I also want to let everyone know that that I may not be as expressive because my face still has very limited mobility. Within this mouth are a bunch of stitches I'm trying not to burst. But I still want to talk about these movies and still want to, talk it out with you. If you want to be part of the conversation, please make sure that you like, subscribe, comment down below, and tell me your thoughts on this movie. So, without further ado, Black Christmas, 1974. I heard that this movie was considered the first slasher. Some people consider it to be a proto-slasher. I had slept on it for a while. I kind of had this weird bias against older horror films, especially slashers. And I don't know why, because the classics are classics for a reason. But I'm glad that I finally gave this a watch because my favorite horror movie of all time, Halloween, which comes out only 4 years later in 1978, it takes a lot of inspiration from this film. And, it's very well known behind the scenes that John Carpenter took inspiration from the writer of Black Christmas and said like, oh, if you were to do a sequel, what would it be? And yeah, he mentioned it would be, babysitters getting stalked on Halloween. Boom. And from there, the slasher genre really takes off in Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Child's Play. Also, if this is a shorter video than usual, I hope you don't mind. Let me know if you appreciate it in preference to a longer video, actually. Like I said, I just don't want to do too much chin wagging because this chin is in pain. I was very pleasantly surprised by this film. I think it was very bold for a film at the time to make their final girl, their main protagonist, be someone who's about to have an abortion. Roe v. Wade happens in 1973, and this movie premieres in 1974. So it's I just think very bold, and I'm glad that they did go with that. I think that this final girl is a pretty powerful protagonist, despite the fact that she has the most annoying way of answering the phone ever.
Hello? 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 Oh, hell, not again. Hello?
I also do want to mention that this has a very chilling similarity to the FSU sorority house murders that were carried out by Ted Bundy in 1978, the same year Halloween would actually come out. It's wild that actually impacted the TV release of this movie and everything too. Looking at that in hindsight, because I like studying serial killers and stuff too, it's very just eerie and creepy to know that something like this really did happen, that a person actually did this. Another creepy thing about the film is that we don't actually know who the killer is. We see that they use really good cinematography to keep the killer hidden most of the time, to keep a lot of the kills kind of like they're cutaways or off screens. They're more subtle. And, Halloween itself, the one that comes after this, I really can't talk about this without talking about Halloween. Like I said, my favorite horror film and also the beginning of the slasher genre. Halloween I really love because of how subtle it is. They use a lot of POV shots for the killer and a lot of the heavy breathing. I think that this film is really great at building tension. But there is a point, like in the second watch especially, where like the pacing, what I thought was just really good tension building, at a certain point it also does become a problem with the pacing. Like it is building that tension. You're stalking the sorority house, you know, you're seeing who these characters are and if they're gonna notice that there's this killer who's in the house with them. But also they just take their time with so many other things that they really don't have to. But you know, it's an earlier film, so you know, slasher film, it kind of is what it is. I really love the long pulling out shot at the end. You know, it's very like Rob Zombie-esque to me. You know, he used that, and I want to say House of a Thousand Corpses. You know, when the dude was going to shoot that other dude in the head, like just very awkward timing. And it kind of makes you like you're kind of preparing yourself for something terrible. And is it going to happen? Is it not? You know, that's one of my favorite things about the suspense of earlier slashers is that your mind does a lot of the work for you. You don't have to see all the terrible things happen because you can anticipate them. There's a reason why anxiety is a real human condition. You know, we anticipate terrible things and it sends us into fight or flight. I like when horror movies kind of let us do that. I thought that a lot of the dialogue and camp were very fun. I loved seeing Margot Kidder in a different role. I didn't really get to see her in anything else other than Superman. That's what I know her from primarily. It was just great to, you know, to see her have some fun with this, you know, over-the-top character of Barb, who's just this lush, this alcoholic, you know, super popular sorority queen. I think that a lot of the kills were creative too. You know, we have someone who Barb gets stabbed with a little glass statue. Miss Mac gets a hook to the face. One of our sisters gets suffocated. You know, there's a lot of different. Oh, and there's even someone who gets their throat slit outside, like the cop outside in the car. Like for what I thought would be such a small film, there actually is a lot of story, and they go back and forth between so many different settings. We're at the police station, you know, and then we're at the phone company. Where it was cool that we had to trace down the call, but they did the same thing like 2 or 3 times, and the person has to keep walking back and forth. Like, we didn't need to see all of that. But that doesn't turn me off from the film at all. You know, I love that there's this red herring in the boyfriend as well. You know, we think that he's the killer because he's not doing well at the conservatory, and he doesn't want his girlfriend to have an abortion. He feels like he's losing control, and he should be, you know, the man, and he should be in control of things. Peter comes back in the end, just at the end of this chase, where Jess finds out that the killer is in the house with her, and that's where the calls are coming from. And instead of leaving the house like she's informed to, like she's encouraged to, she actually decides to go and fight the killer because she thinks her friends are still alive and she's going to save her friends. I think that that's a really admirable thing. Earlier on, I mentioned that she was going to get an abortion. And, you know, for me, it's less of like, oh yeah, it's awesome that she's choosing, you know, that she's getting an abortion. But I think it's awesome that she sticks to her guns of like, listen, that's not her lot in life. She doesn't want to marry Peter. She knows that. She has things that she wants to do.
I'm quitting the conservatory and we're getting married.
You can't ask me to drop everything I've been working for and give up all my ambitions because your plans have changed. Be realistic. I can't marry you.
She has dreams, she has a career in mind. Like, I really think that helps build her out. It helps give her, you know, actual desires. It helps make her a pretty well-rounded character for the short time that, you know, that we have with them. So this chase ensues, in which they do a really good job, once again, of keeping the killer mostly off screen or hidden in shadow, so you don't know who he is. She ends up in the basement, and who else comes to her but Peter, her boyfriend, who she believes to be the killer. Everyone believes Peter to be the killer. We've been pretty much told that Peter's the killer. So they had this off-screen battle, and she kills this man. Boyfriend or ex-boyfriend, still very traumatic. She ends up killing him. And at the end of it all, she's in the bed. She's medicated hardcore. They sedate her, and they're like, oh, you know, you'll be lucky to hear anything from her tomorrow. Blah, blah, blah. You know, they just want her to calm down or whatever. You know, I think it's also a commentary on the time that, you know, are we taking women seriously? Are we just going to be like, oh, you're hysterical, just medicate them, just rest, whatever. But who they do take seriously is Mr. Harrison, the father who came looking for his daughter, who was the first victim, and he which, by the way, they never go and look in the bedroom. That's the wildest part for me. This whole movie falls apart if they look in the bedroom. I don't know why that didn't happen, but whatever. Suspend your disbelief, I guess. But they take the father seriously because he starts, feeling woozy, or at the end, and he's anxious. So they take him to the hospital and they leave her alone at an active crime scene. All they have is one patrolman out front, and then as we see the camera move around the house, all empty where all the killings have happened, we hear the killer's voice. And then we see a wide shot of the house, and it just starts pulling out nice and slow as the credits come up. And that's it. Like, you don't know what is going on in the house. You don't know if the killer's going to wait for her to wake up. You don't know anything. And your mind is coming up with the worst. And I think that is so unsettling. And I think that it's great overall. This movie is going to be a must-watch for me every Christmas season. I have yet to watch the remake. I'm going to put that on my list, but I'm so glad that I got to watch this. What did you think of the movie? Do you think that it holds up still? Do you think that Halloween is less original for this movie having existed? Or does this deserve its place in the horror pantheon? I personally think it does. Comment down below, like, subscribe, let me know what else you'd like me to review. Plant-Based Booch signing out. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.